Hi, welcome to Hyperion Hype Club. My name is McKenna and I love the Kingdom Keepers books by Ridley Pearson. Join me as we discuss this series and others published by Disney-Hyperion Books. Let's get into it. Hi you guys, how's it going? Welcome to the 4th episode of Season 4 of Hyperion Hype Club. A little intro before we get into stuff about the book today. Life update. The birthday weekend for my two friends was great. Gatlinburg was fun. We did tubing, hiking, karaoke, and even spotted some black bears, like on and right near our little glamp site. There was even a black bear that hopped on the hood of one of the birthday girls' cars. So that was kind of cool to see, and the bear didn't scratch her car, thankfully. So yeah, it was a great weekend. It's just been too long since I've been to the mountains, so it was really nice to be back in that environment. And when next week's video posts, I'll be visiting my parents and Nana at the beach with my best friend, who was the other birthday girl that we celebrated this past weekend. So I'm very excited for that as well. Speaking of next week's video, that will be my review of So This Is Love, so definitely stay tuned for that. If you want to hear about what my sisters are reading as well, check out our Long Distance Sisters podcast episode coming out next Monday. Before we get into the captain's log, I want to make a quick correction. Molly and her father's last name is Astor, so the star stuff and asteroids connection is present in both of their names, not just the father's. Molly's father's first name is Leonard. Okay, anyway, let's get into the captain's log for chapters 23 through 33 of Peter and the Starcatchers by Ridley Pearson and Dave Barry. Slank doesn't heed Molly's warning about the pirates overtaking the Wasp, which leads to him eating his words in a short bit. Molly and Peter attempt to throw the chest overboard as the Wasp reaches the Neverland. Their efforts are squashed by Slank and Little Richard. Slank then throws Peter overboard. Peter learned to fly before he fully got in the water. Commotion on deck, which included Molly attacking Blackstash as he touched the trunk, halted when they saw Peter fly onto the ship. Peter flung the trunk overboard, following it over. Molly then followed as well. Mrs. Bumbrake, Little Richard, and Slank were taken prisoner aboard the Jolly Roger. Molly saved Peter from drowning, and Peter ended up on the island near the trunk, which made some fish start to act funky as star stuff seeped out of it. I'm hoping Molly's there on the island as well. I'm sure she is. Eventually, Alf, James, and the other St. Norbert's boys end up on the island as well after surviving the Neverland's crash against the reef. Blackstash and the rest of the people aboard the Jolly Roger are looking to go ashore. Blackstash spotted footprints, presumably Peter's, on the beach. We end this section with Slank and Little Richard trying to figure out how to escape their cell. There's one thing I want to point out for the references section. Obviously, Neverland is an island, so the characters must have ended up there at the end of this stretch of chapters. One location on the island is called Mermaid Lagoon. I'm guessing the lagoon that Peter and the chest washed upon the shore of is that lagoon, especially considering that the star stuff was doing something funky to the fish with silver bodies and green tails. I'm pretty certain those fish are turning into mermaids. No wonder the mermaids like Peter so much. Like, they're not a fan of people in general, but they like Peter. So, another interesting thought I just had. At least interesting to me, whatever. Moving on to my random thoughts for this section. To start, I noticed an inconsistency. Molly apparently put Mrs. Bumbrake to sleep. We learned just 17 pages before that, or at least 17 pages in my copy, that Molly had not yet learned that technique. I suppose that Molly could have figured it out in the moment, but I feel like it's more likely an inconsistency. Next, I was thinking about how quickly the effects of the star stuff wore off. In the book Peter and Wendy, it takes about 3 days to fly from London to Neverland. How much star stuff did that require? Or did they discover pixie dust and that's more potent? Not quite sure. We got even more of a hint that Slank must know that there's something special about the trunk, considering it was the only thing that was supposed to be in the guarded room. Like when Black Sash broke into the room that the trunk had previously been in, the room was empty. And we know that Molly and Peter had only removed the trunk from there. So Slank was guarding a room with only the trunk, or having that room guarded. Plus, the way he reacted to Black Sash mentioning the trunk. So, like, Slank knows something. What does he know? What team involved? Is he Starcatchers as well? I don't know. Then Black Sash had an inappropriate thought regarding women that was a bit of an innuendo, but also kind of not suited for children. The line was, let's see. But a woman was a woman the way Stash looked at it. I suppose after reading that again, that it's hidden well enough and a child might just not get it. However, I don't see that line as necessary considering this book is for a middle grade audience. It makes sense to be in there if the book is directed at an older crowd because we'd better understand the implication of just how horrible a human Black Stash is. Moving on, I've been wondering for a while now if the other three St. Norbert's boys will become Lost Boys or crewmen for Hook. I mean, the Lost Boys don't remember many things about mothers, especially their own, in Peter and Wendy and the movie Peter Pan, which is something that kind of makes sense for orphans. I've also been thinking, since the trunk is leaking all over the shore, if star stuff will end up infecting the whole island, and that's what makes it magical. I guess we'll just have to wait and see for that. All right, now, how am I enjoying this book so far? I still think it's good, but I'm hoping that it gets even better now that they've made it to Neverland, or what I'm guessing is Neverland. And then we just see, I don't know, how star stuff affects the island, or I don't know. It's good. I feel like it's gonna get really exciting now. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. But yeah, that's it. We are officially halfway through this book. Heck yeah. And I will see you guys next week for chapters 34 through 46. Since I've taken a couple of trips this summer, let me know where you're traveling to, or if you're not traveling this summer, or if it's winter for you. Just whatever your next trip might be, or what you hope your next trip might be. And yeah, I'm getting pretty excited. See you guys next week. Bye! Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe, and follow. Also, please chat with me and other members of this club in the comments of the YouTube video. My other social media information and a link to the Long Distance Sisters podcast I am also part of will be below. Back in a whack!